Hey everyone, it's Ivan, KidBadger.com, here to bring you another gear review, and today we're talking about these guys, which are the NoiseRider S1 electronic hearing protection. Hearing protection tends to be pretty important with loud noises, like gunfire. Electronic hearing protection gives us the added benefit of being able to pick up ambient noises, to include voices, when we're shooting. Then, when you have that loud impulse noise and it breaks a certain threshold, cuts off the amplification and protects our hearing. So, how do these guys do? If you're used to electronic hearing protection, these pretty much work as you would expect, more or less. Over here on the right side, there's a depressed on-off button. You click it, you have a little tone, it turns on, and then above it and below it, you can adjust the volume up or down. At that point, pretty much get it to whatever setting you want so that you can hear people talking conversationally, so you're not yelling or having them yell at you, whatever you're doing. Or if you're trying to hear game, with these microphones are on the front, so it's going to pick up, kind of shotgun mic, pick up generally what's out in front of you, but basically amplifying sound. Then when you go to actually shoot, you draw out, get on target, decide to break your shot. As soon as you have that impulse and it breaks the threshold for these, immediately cuts out the sound. But how do they actually do? We're obviously not looking at these things in a vacuum because there's a bunch of different electronic hearing protection on the market. But what is something that would be comparable? Well, probably these Howard Leight that I've reviewed before. Basically the same price point depending on where you're looking. Both of them on Amazon, right around 50 bucks. So how did they do? Well, I will let you listen to them and you'll be able to decide for yourself. We're going to go ahead and start with these NoiseRiders. When I turn them on, there's a tone. After the tone, it starts amplifying. And I can adjust whether I want to make it louder. It's about as loud as it goes right there, talking conversationally. Or I can drop this down and ultimately make it quieter. If I press this button, it cuts immediately off. Again, press it. Give it a second. You have that tone, comes back on. Here's the issue I have with it. If I'm talking and there's a loud noise, by loud noise I mean someone clapping, it cuts out and there's that delay right there. So if something's going on and then all of a sudden, see what I mean? Kind of weird how that delay works. Other thing I will say is on the front, that silver right there, that is basically where the microphone is. There's no windscreen. So if I turn into the wind right now, one, I can hear a vehicle going, amplified noise, but turning into the wind basically completely distorts it because there's no windscreen over the top of the microphone right there. With these Howard Leights, over on this left side, you have a little roller switch and you move it back. There's a distinct click and then it just gradually kind of gets louder and louder until you have this thing maxed out, at which point kind of pick up a lot. And up front, the little black bit foam on either side, those are your microphones, and those are windscreens on them. So even if you're looking straight into the wind, kind of died down a little bit right now, but it takes a significant amount of wind to actually have these things cut out or actually get distortion on them. These little windscreens do a really good job on them. And in addition to that, the threshold for these seems to be significantly higher than the SoundRider. And in addition to that, even when you have some sort of impulse noise, if it is going to cut out, if it breaks that threshold, it's really quick to immediately come back in. So as soon as you break a shot, after that loud impulse is gone, you can immediately resume basically picking up whatever ambient noise there is, which is not the case with the NoiseRider with that kind of big delay there. If these NoiseRiders have an edge, I would say out of the box, these ear cups are significantly nicer than the Howard Leight ones. Absolutely comfortable. Whether you're wearing glasses, prescription, or just shooting glasses, they're pretty comfortable. Over on your left side is the battery compartment. It takes 2 AAAs, and as I mentioned, over on the right, you have the switch. The on-off switch, all it takes is a click, and even though it's recessed, I find it basically still gets accidentally clicked on because even though it comes with this nice handy carrying case, put it in here, get this thing zipped up, often, get to the range, take these out, turn them on, batteries are dead. So even though it's in this case, it doesn't take much to just accidentally basically depress that and turn these guys on, in which case you're going to end up with dead batteries when you want to use them. There's also a auxiliary jack back here. You can actually run it to like an MP3 player, phone, something along those lines, run some music. Never used it, just like I've never used it on my Howard Leight ones. Don't really care to. These Impact Sport Howard Leight, as well as these NoiseRider S1, both electronic hearing protection. Amplify that ambient noise. Any type of impulse noise breaks a threshold, it cuts out. But they're also both on Amazon for about 50 bucks, so which one would I go with? I will say these out of the box are more comfortable, but these guys, the windscreen, I think is hugely important. If you're facing into the wind, man, it is bad. Basically, they become arguably unusable because they just pick up all kinds of distortion with the wind coming into them. Never had that happen with the windscreen on these. Additionally, that kind of lag with the impulse, even just clapping when these cut off, and it takes like, I don't know, fraction of a second, but it's totally noticeable for it to start picking up that ambient noise again. Kind of a deal breaker. That coupled with, these are eating my batteries. Showed up today, again, the batteries were dead. Fortunately, these weren't. Pulled them out of here, swapped them back and forth so I could do the review. Personally, I find more value here, but if you want to pick some of these up, you think they're going to work for you, do it. Let me know how they do. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.